Uneducated Economist here. So I don't really plan on doing a very long live stream here. I know I always say that, but that's really the truth on this one because I really don't have that much battery on my phone. And really, I just wanted to share this speech with you in a portion of the speech. This is coming from Lisa Cook. This was given earlier today. Lisa Cook is a voting member of the FOMC. Let me find the speech here. Let me find the title of it. All right. I hope you guys are having a great evening. Let's see here. This was given June 25th, so earlier today. And the title of it is Moving Toward Better Balance and Implications for Monetary Policy. Now, this is not that great of a speech. I mean, the speech is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. As far as like the information goes, it's pretty much what we had typically think about the Federal Reserve and what it is that they've been saying lately through these speeches, which is very different from what you hear on the mainstream media. So I left a link down in the description for you guys. But what I really wanted to bring to the attention here is the fact that they are not going for a 2% target. And now this is something that I have tried to push so much out here on this channel. I've tried to show evidence of it. I've brought up many speeches about it. I have talked about it relentlessly over and over and over again. And every time I turn on the news or every time I find a news article talking about the Federal Reserve and what it is that they are doing with their monetary policy or where they're going with the Fed funds rate, it almost always has this idea of a 2% target in mind. And this is something like, it just blows me away when I think about this 2% target that just simply does not exist. There is no target that they are going for that is 2%. Now, if you download the speech and you go to the PDF on page 6, you'll find the beginning of monetary policy. Okay, no, it's not on page 6. If the monetary policy portion of the speech does start on, or is on page 6, I believe it starts there, but it's really the first or second paragraph of that monetary policy portion of the speech, and it's on page 7. And this is what it has to say. How many people we got watching? 70. Perfect. Okay. What this says is returning inflation sustainably to our 2% target is an ongoing process and not a fait accompli. Not a fait accompli. Not a fiat, fait. F-A-I-T is what she says. It's a simple sentence, one sentence, very quick, in and out, right? They talk about all things about monetary policy, where the Fed funds rate is. They talk about labor. They talk about all kinds of stuff. When it comes to this 2% target, she says this: returning inflation sustainably to our 2% target is an ongoing process and not a fait accompli. In considering how restrictive monetary policy or how restrictive policy is, I look at a broad range of indicators of financial credit markets, for instance, 2-year real. She goes on about other stuff, right? All the stuff that's important. Don't get me wrong, that's important. But this one sentence is so telling, right? And this is really what it comes down to, is that everybody believes it's that 2% target. And if you were to read this sentence and you were not aware of the true Federal Reserve's monetary policy, you would have no clue of what FAIT means. F-A-I-T, flexible average inflation targeting, right? It is not accomplished. Returning inflation sustainably to our 2% target is an ongoing process and not a FAIT accomplishment, not a flexible average inflation targeting accomplishment. She admitted it right there. They are not going for a 2% target. Now, if you didn't know about it, if you didn't know what flexible average inflation targeting was, you may have missed this. In fact, most people probably won't even read this speech, so how would they even know if she even said it, right? But the fact is that I do read these speeches, and I listen to every word. I read every word of these things, and I scrutinize it. Because if you didn't, you would never find a sentence like this. This is so telling. This is so telling of their monetary policy. 99.9% of the people do not get. And that's why it is so important to read these speeches and understand them for yourself. And that's another reason why I keep pushing to join the channel, right? It's because if you don't join the channel, you'll never hear this information from anybody else. Nobody else is talking about it, right? Now, I'm not going to break this speech down, but I am going to break down the monetary policy speech that Michelle Bowman gave, which has all the same information, right? But that right there is so telling, coming from Lisa Cook, talking about monetary policy, talking about how the returning sustainably to a 2% target is an ongoing process and not an accomplishment of flexible average inflation targeting. Right? This is why everybody doesn't get it. This is why everybody thinks that they have, like, the Federal Reserve has lost control. They don't know what they're doing or whatever because they don't understand what the monetary policy really is. See, they look at this Federal Reserve and they think, okay, they're going for this 2% target, and then everybody is fixated on this 2% target, and then wondering, well, how long it take for inflation to come down to their 2% target so that they can adjust interest rates, not realizing there is no target and the interest rate adjustments don't work. Huh. But yet, what is everybody thinking about? What is everybody planning on doing? What has everybody got in mind? It is just nuts for me to think, because I seem to be the only one who really locked in on this. And I just got to share it with you. I just have to bring it out and share it with you guys, because if I don't show it to you now, then you guys may miss it, right? And even if you think I'm just crazy, even if you think that I have no clue of what it is that I'm talking about and that these people are lying and they got me wrapped up, because I don't understand how that could even be a concept since nobody's talking about this, how they can confuse nobody but me, right? Since I'm the only one who seems to really care about flexible average inflation targeting and the fact that interest rates don't work or interest rate adjustments don't work and that they're not going for a 2% target, but yet somehow people seem to think that I'm the one who's being lied to by the Fed. Nobody else is talking about it. How could they possibly be lying to me? I'm the only one they're lying to? Right? No, they're lying on the mainstream media. And every single economist out there on the mainstream media is benefiting the Federal Reserve. They're pushing the Fed's monetary policy, and that is all a mind game. And when you see sentences like this written in a speech, just one simple little sentence like this, I can call it out. It's like, bang, right there it is. Most people would have missed it. 99% of the people would have missed that, right? Probably even more. They don't know what Fed is. They don't know what flexible average inflation targeting is. Here, you want it? It's over here. Let me show you. It's over. Where is it? Here we go. In seeking to, this is coming from Jerome Powell, August 27th of 2020. In seeking to achieve inflation that averages 2% over time, we are not tying ourselves to any particular mathematical formula. Thus, our approach can be viewed as flexible average inflation targeting. Right? This is going on a 5-year process now. Well, 4 or 5 years now. Right? And people say, no, they're reacting. They're flying on the seat of the... They're not. They are really not. They think they have everybody believing that, and if you believe it, then you are in a benefit to the Federal Reserve itself, because if people understood it from the fashion that I'm trying to tell it, trying to explain to people, their whole policy would fail to exist, and they would be, this is the way you truly end the Fed. You want to end the Fed, you understand it from this fashion. Right? I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant or anything else like that, but this is how you do it. If you want to destroy the Fed, you got to understand the Fed and their strategy from the inside, right? From the banker's point of view, not from that mainstream point of view. Some economist who's blaming the Fed for screwing everything up or thinking they're acting politically or something like that. All right, it doesn't have anything to do with that. This is a game that they've been talking about here. You want to take it back a little bit farther? Here, let's go to monetary policy strategies for a low neutral interest rate world. November 30th, 2018, talking about how the low inflationary environment was a problem. But one of the things that they could use to try and fix this problem was an option of average inflation targeting, whereby the central bank purposefully aims to achieve an above target inflation rate in good times when the lower bound is not constrained. This is what John Williams, New York Fed president, had to say back in November of 2018 in this speech, Monetary Policy Strategies for a Low Neutral Interest Rate World. I've read this speech 4,000 times. I've read this speech on this channel at least 1,000 times. And when I see stuff like that, and I see things like, Jerome Powell talking about that same thing, seeking to achieve average inflation rate over time, right? It's just it becomes so obvious to me. And I mean, I hope other people are starting to see it. I mean, I know like a lot of people who follow me on this channel see it as clearly as I do now. Right? It took me a while to piece this together. You guys watch me build this on this channel. You watch me piece the information together on this channel. I did not know it before starting this channel. I figured it out here with you guys. Right? And that's why I feel it's very unique to this channel, is because nobody else is talking about it like this. Nobody else has poured over hundreds of Fed speeches. I mean, I'm sure people have. I'm not saying they haven't. I'm saying not too many people on YouTube have done that. And they certainly haven't done it in a way that has you also involved in the understanding and reading of those speeches like we do on the members only live streams, which we're going to do tomorrow about the, man, probably a little earlier than this time. All right, Simon says the forward OOS gaslighting shit out on the United States citizens. Huh. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. We have 198 people watching with 64 likes. I'm not going to be out here terribly long because it's kind of late in the day and I only have 18% on my phone anyway. But please go hit that like button. We got 64 likes right now. We can at least get it up to 100 likes while we're here. And the algorithm will love it when the video gets uploaded. Hooters just closed 40 stores, and anyone think the servers think the labor market is resilient? I don't know about, I mean, nothing's that resilient, right? I mean, everything can change, you know? So like to me, the possibilities are endless of what could occur, you know? And it certainly has a lot of room for downturn. I mean, you think about like how vast and extensive the inequality has gotten, and how troublesome and difficult it has now become for people to live their lives, especially with the idea that, you know, buying into real estate or getting your own home is like the American dream, and it becomes ever increasingly more difficult to try and acquire that dream. The frustration levels begin to, to increase, and then you have like, you know, all the issues that come from that. You know, it's just like one thing leading into the other. Hey, Simon, thanks for opening our eyes. Yeah, you bet, Dave. I really appreciate it. Anybody got any questions they want me to cover, want me to clear up about this average inflation targeting? Like I said, there's not a lot of places you can go to try and get this information. It is, I mean, and not only that, but it's not just getting the information, it's also understanding how it is that you are going to apply this to your life, because you cannot possibly think that there's going to be a video out there where somebody's going to be like, hey dude, I got this answer for you, this is what you're going to do, you're going to invest this much of your paycheck into this and that and all that. It doesn't exist like that. You know what it is understanding this monetary policy internally to be able to explain it. Then you get it. Right? Once you get it in that fashion, intuitively, you'll just be making the right decisions. Trust me on this. Like it's hard to think, because we're really, what people are wanting is an answer to the future, right? They want to know what's going to happen, and there is no answer there. The future is wide open. Anything can happen, right? And so it's better to understand it in a way that I understand why this is occurring, right? And because you understand why it's occurring, you will just naturally be making the right decisions. You know, I tell you what, when it comes to the live stream, this is something that I'll share with you guys. When it comes to the live stream that we do tomorrow, I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of what it is that I plan on doing to make money, because that's not something that I really share a lot with. And it's going to be through my knowledge of understanding the lumber market and trying to position or use that inside kind of knowledge for lumber to try and benefit a gain from it. Now, again, it's not something that I'd like to really talk about, because I'm not somebody who gives investment advice, and it's not something that I think that I am even like in the position of even offering up to you is investment advice, so I don't try and do it. But people ask me all the time, man, how come you just don't use this knowledge of lumber you have and all this insight into the industry to try and capitalize on some of that knowledge and make money at it? So I'm going to try that. And I'm going to tell you how I do that. I'm going to tell you in the live stream tomorrow, the members only live stream tomorrow. So, all right. 100% Simon's policy dictate how we are running the present moment and may give clues about future decisions. All we can do is hop on the ride. Yeah, maybe they can pull dance. All right, I got 15% on my phone. We're at 15 minutes into the video, 98 likes, awesome, almost up to that 100. All right, that's what I'm doing with Simon's info. Good for you. All right, UE, thoughts on Canadian situation last month's rates cut followed by hot data looks like Tiff Backlum and the Bank of Canada made the ultimate mistake in cutting early. Well, this is what I find pretty comical about the cutting of interest rates because, like, I mean, did they really? I mean, who knows? I guess time will tell. Really, the interest rate cuts don't do anything for 6 months to a year. I mean, really, it takes almost 18 months for those rates to really do anything to the economy. And so just because they cut them last month or the month before or even 6 months ago, that doesn't really have any kind of real impact to the economy. Now, the perception of it does, and you can see that how that works clearly, right? Just the idea of their interest rates coming into the future or even having interest rate cuts puts more into the perception of the markets and starts dictating what the markets are going to do than the actual impact of the rates themselves. See, this is all part, like, those rate cuts shouldn't do anything for a while. And that's why I laugh about people who are like, oh, they're going to cut rates for the election. And I'm like, well, whose election, right? I mean, by that time, the election will be over. Even if they were to cut them today, it doesn't make any difference. See, this is what's crazy about it is just like, okay, this is how my mind works, right? Is that, like, I think about inventory of homes right now. Right? This is one of the things. So people are like, okay, there's a low inventory of homes. And now really the only way you're going to bring more inventory of homes is through new build, right? Now I do get it that there is a lot of turning over of new homes when there was low interest rates and people flipping them. But what happens as soon as they stop flipping them? They stayed in their home. So every time they give up a home, they're buying a home. So it's just a swap for one empty home for an occupied one. It doesn't really add to inventory, even though you might find a lot of sales taking place. It's not like there's really a lot. It's like hot potato, or not hot potato, like the musical chairs, right? As soon as the music stops, everybody's got to sit down and sit in their house. And that's what they're doing right now. So there wasn't really that many available homes out there. It was just that many people flipping homes, which made it look like there was a bunch of available homes. But there really wasn't, right? Because everybody needs a place to be. And the ones who could afford it was going to afford it and took those available homes off the market. So the only way you can really bring new inventory is through new builds, right? That's it. Okay, I'll give it, like, possibly like the silver tsunami and, like, the whole idea of like the baby boomer generation passing away and then that providing. Okay, so that's a possibility going into the future, but that isn't something that's going to happen next year or the year after that. And even if it does, it's not going to add in any kind of significant fashion. Again, the only way to do it is through new builds. So, in order to get a new build inventory to really be significant, I mean, you think about it right now, you decide to build a home. How long does it take for you to get the home built? I mean, like, I'm talking to somebody who's actually knows what the hell, like, building a home is like. And you have to go buy the land, you have to get the permit, surveying, permitting, all the other stuff before you even get the start of what it even resembles a house being built, like the foundation. You know how long and how frustrating and time consuming and money occupying it is in order to get to the point where you can actually put a foundation down and then start building off of it? It takes a while. So even if you had the decision today that you were going to be building a house, it's going to be months down the road before you actually build that house. And for most people, it might even be a year, right? As they try to get the financing together, the contractors together, all the stuff together in order to actually get this house into fruition, into being built. And so I think about it, it was just like, yeah, you go and lower interest rates a quarter point. That's not going to really do much to the economy. It's still incredibly restrictive, right? It doesn't really do anything but maybe give some people some ideas that they might be able to refinance in the future. It might spark off the housing market, much like it did at the end of last year when they gave the plot narrative out there, the dot plot, and freaked everybody out thinking that there was going to be a bunch of interest rate cuts. that was actually stimulating to the economy. And it's funny because Michelle Bowman actually acknowledges that in her speech that she gave yesterday, that we're going to be covering in tomorrow's live stream, tomorrow's member only live stream. And she admitted that. She was just like, since monetary ease since last year. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Monetary policy didn't ease. You guys didn't do anything different. You didn't adjust your interest rates. You didn't adjust the balance sheet. There was no easing of monetary policy last year, at the end of last year, right? But oh, wait a minute. Dang, that's right. Monetary policy did ease because everybody thought there was going to be interest rate cuts. So they actually participated in the economy in a fashion as if those interest rate cuts had actually occurred. And that was the easing of monetary policy that she was talking about, even though they were sitting on their hands the whole time. Now, who was explaining it like that? Right? You don't believe me? Go and look at Zuber's interview that we did around Christmas last year. Right? Because that's when I did it. I was up at Woodby Island sitting at a Airbnb up there watching orcas out there in this bay. Right? And I remember doing the interview with Zuber up there saying just that. Like, this whole, he asked him, what about the rate cuts? And I said, there are no rate cuts. And that's there's no announcement, there's no pivot, there's no forward guidance, there's nothing like that going on when it comes to rate cuts. But yet everybody had believed it at the time. I was looking at all these famous economists talking about it. It was ridiculous. And I'm thinking, man, I would just love to just have a recording right now, having a conversation with these guys, explaining my theories to them, and then going back and then asking them about it today. I got this stuff so dialed in, it's just unreal. I can't believe I've done it. I literally feel like I'm the only one who's really got this thing dialed in the way I do, explaining it on YouTube the way I am, and I just happen to be some dude, working class guy, sitting in a 99 Ford Explorer who's cracked the code. All right? I mean, you take in the four economic theories, you take in this monetary policy, once you got to really get it down and you really internalize it, it's hard to see it any other way. You look at all these politicians arguing about stupid stuff, and it's just like, you guys ain't got no clue. Alrighty, man. I have really babbled it up. I got 11% on my phone, and we're at 22 minutes into the video. We'll try and give it another 8 minutes here, and we'll call it quits. Thank you so much for that super chat. Let's go check that thing out. Hey, Low Church Crusader, thank you so much for the $5. Would you consider private international charity as a dive into luxuries? Some examples are helping build hospitals, wells, homes, and churches. Thanks. In the international, at any time, I think honestly, when you think about international money, charities going from the United States to someplace outside of the United States, I think more of Triffin's dilemma. How does the United States, as the world reserve currency, as the custodian of it, get that fiat currency out there to the rest of the world, get that dollars out there? And it's hard. Either you can just go into this massive trade deficit where you just buy as much crap as you can from everybody and send those dollars out there, or you can go fight wars. You can go and charity, just give it away, right? There's ways you can get that money out there. But our favorite way is trade deficits. That's the most extensive way we do it. But I think of more Triffin's dilemma when I think about that. Hey, Simon, Michelle Bowman recently said the Fed will consider raising rates if inflation continues to be out of control. Thoughts on this? Yeah, I think don't listen to Michelle Bowman's media propaganda horseshit. That's my suggestion. I don't mean to be insulted at all, but that's what that is. That is mainstream media propaganda, guide the markets. This is our monetary policy. Whatever it is that she's trying to communicate is the direction in which that she is attempting to guide policy. So what did she say? I don't even pay attention. I hardly even pay attention to the mainstream media anymore when it comes to this stuff. I only pay attention to the other communications to the other central bankers, which is done through these speeches. But she said that they will consider raising rates. See, inflation's not out of control. It's moderately above 2%. That's not out of control, right? I don't know what moderately above 2% is, I'm assuming, but somewhere around 2.8, 3.2, I don't know, 4. I don't know what moderately above 2% is. I mean, anywhere from 1 to 3 forever could be an average of 2% over time, right? If it was either at 1 or 3 every other year for the rest of our lives, that would average 2%. What is moderately above 2%? I don't know, right? But that's where we're at right now. So the idea that this is out of control or that inflation's out of control or that they're losing control over it isn't real. That's not real. It's not. It's, I mean, I understand that most people will accept it, internalize it as real, right? That this is really happening. The numbers, which aren't real, that they show us, right? But I don't know what the real numbers are, so I have to assume that what they are looking at is the numbers because this is what they're going to use to conduct themselves when it comes to monetary policy. So I have no other choice in the matter. But even by their own numbers and the statements that they are giving, it looks like inflation is coming down to something moderately above 2%, right? Unemployment is still historically low, although rising, right? What is their dual mandate? Full employment and low and stable prices. It seems to me that they are just like, they're hitting home run, right? Every time, pow! Every time they come up to bat, man, every time they say something, every time they're doing it, they're hitting a home run and nobody knows it. Everybody thinks they're screwing it up. But they are falling exactly right in line with everything that they've been strategizing about since 2002, but definitely since 2018 when this monetary policy strategies for a low neutral interest rate world was talking exactly about how monetary policy is today. So why would we think that they're flying on the seat of their pants? That doesn't make any sense. Did they figure that out 7 years ago? That they would be like making snap decisions today? I mean, of course not. They had this plan well in motion, but they can't tell you that they had this plan in motion. If you figured that part out, it's over. That's why, like, this information is incredibly dangerous to the Federal Reserve. I hope you guys realize that. Like, I mean, a lot of people are like, this guy may get whatever. No, this stuff is incredibly dangerous to the Federal Reserve. If this information was to ever become common knowledge, their entire system would fail. I know it would. It would not exist because we would totally see right through it. We would be like, your forward guidance, your credible threats don't work anymore. We understand that you're not going for 2% target. We understand flexible average inflation targeting. It's like nobody knows these things, and that's what's sad. All right, Ivan, thank you so much for the $21.99. I'm not sure what BGN is, but that's cool. Thank you. Hey, Simon, I'm a young chap from Bulgaria. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, cool. I love the eye-opening content that you do. I would love to know your opinion on the market since, to be frank, I'm scared of things seem to quite bubbly. Okay, well, it looks like you're a member to the channel. I'm going to talk a little bit more about like the markets and investing and stuff like that, or at least a little bit more on like what I am doing personally. I'll do that in that live stream tomorrow. If you want to be part of it, it's literally $1 a month. Or not, yeah, $1 a month, $12 a year, $120 a decade. It's cheap, right? And so you can be part of a membership-only live stream that has some of the greatest comments and questions that you could ever possibly imagine as we break down these speeches word for word. There's nobody else who's doing it in that kind of fashion. I do separate it out there because I want to make it a higher level communication, conversation, not just something that is out there just for entertainment, but something that is being taken seriously by the community that is watching it, right? And I didn't want to separate it so much so that there's groups that can't be part of it. It's literally $1 a month. It can't possibly be that expensive, right? I mean, it's the cheapest subscription out there. I don't know anything else that's cheaper than $1 a month. So that's why I did it. Another part is that I'm trying to build it up to 10,000 members. If I can get it to 10,000 members, I can abandon my W-2 and go about pursuing this stuff full time. And either way, I'm good. I'm happy that this thing is taken off. I'm happy that the members are growing. I'm happy with my job, and I'm happy with this video. But the one thing I got to do is call it to an end because we're at 30 minutes into the video. My phone's about ready to die. But thank you so much, everybody who has joined. Thank you so much for hitting that like button. Thank you so much for those super chats. And thank you for being a member of the channel. Links are down in the description. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.